Welcome to Currently, Right Now, Wife, Mom, Me. I am the host and the creator, Ariane Mayweather, and this is a podcast that I created, after a few weeks of several weeks of going through at the time I thought was pretty detrimental. And I promise you hindsight is 2020, because when I look back at everything, I'm like, it really wasn't that bad. Why did you have a malfunction like that? But I did. And I have four daughters. Um, my oldest is Angelique. She is 24 in the Air Force. I have an 18-year-old, Ashana. I have a soon-to-be 17-year-old, that is Aubrey, and a soon-to-be 16-year-old, and that is Ashanti. During this time, my second oldest daughter, Ashana, her godmother, who is one of my fave cousins, Verna, she was out visiting, and we were just sitting in the living room chatting. And, I was explaining to her, I have a food channel on YouTube, and I love cooking. And she said to me, well, what about a podcast? Because I think you'd be great at it. Now, I think I would be great at it too, but that's not for me to judge. That's for everyone else to judge. But I was like, no, I don't think that's like my thing. And she was like, oh my God, you have so much to talk about. Like, you're great. You're a great conversationalist. I think you would be good at it. So I kind of just dismissed the idea. Fast forward, going through what I assumed was pretty insane for a few several weeks of life. It just seemed like I was going through a domino effect of it just seemed like one thing after another. And it just was taking a hit on me spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. And I didn't like it. And then once I came up for air from the situation, I took a step back and just kind of reevaluated a few things. And that's when I thought to myself, a podcast would be a great idea. We are in a time where information is at everyone's fingertips. And I thought, okay, well, what will be the name of the podcast? And I just started kind of bouncing ideas off the wall. I'm a mom of four, I'm a wife. Um, I work and I cook. And I thought to myself, okay, well, what's currently going on with me? And I'm like, oh, perimenopause. But I played around with a few ideas and I said, oh, currently right now. Currently right now, wife, mom, me. Well, currently right now, yes, I am a wife. I'm a mother. I work. And right now with me, I am going through perimenopause. I'm 43 years old. And prior to becoming this age, obviously, I wasn't aware. I knew what menopause was, um, but I was not aware of the perimenopause. So, understanding that, and when you start kind of figuring out things, if you are currently experiencing perimenopause, you just start Googling stuff. And then you find out, like, oh, that is a symptom of perimenopause, or these things. And then, Facebook and Instagram, they are listening to you, they are watching you and what you're Googling. Then all of a sudden you have these reels and these doctors pop up about this perimenopause and what is happening. And I just thought, I am a millennial. And right now, there are thousands and millions of millennials. So I thought to myself, I'm sure there are other women feeling what I'm feeling, going through what I'm going through. And I thought, okay, what is the age range? And I said, okay, if you're born between 1975 and 1989, you are experiencing, not all, but some form of perimenopause. You are possibly a wife. You are probably a mother. You are probably a working woman. Um, so I'm a millennial. I'm born in 1981. I know there are a lot of Gen Xers, 1975, who, if they are not have experienced perimenopause, they are experiencing menopause and or postmenopausal. But for me, with everything and thinking about all this, I wanted to develop and create a community of women who can relate to one another, and or husbands who can chime in on the conversation and say, oh my goodness, it's the same conversation I had with my wife. Or young daughters who said, oh my god, she sounds just like my mom, and or that sounds like a story my mom would tell about my dad, or wow, her daughters sound just like me, it's so relatable, or I have a sister like that, or whatever the case may be. I wanted this to be a community where we laugh, we cry, we embrace one another. And I feel like for sure that when you really look at it, especially if you are a believer of God and you know that we serve a mighty God and an awesome God, we no we are, how can I say, we are all individuals, yes, but we are all connected, and we are more alike than we realize that we are. Whether we are white, black, Hispanic, Asian, Middle Eastern, we are all human race, and we are connected by one. And the beauty of us being connected is, for quite some time prior to the internet, when I think about my mother and her mother and my great aunts, they didn't have the information. You knew your community, you knew the people you had around you, family members, people you went to church with, people you may have worked with, people at the grocery store, just in your community. Now, whether or not those women talked, which I'm sure they did, you're human, we need other people. So you're having conversations, you're carrying on. What information was given to them other than being described as the change? This woman, she's going through the change of life. And I mean, I guess from a point of view, when you look at everything and you only know so much about the human body, humanity isn't that far along, but we're further along than we once were. So when I think about my grandmother, when I think about my mom, my mother was 40 when she had me, 40, 41. I don't ever recall her discussing menopause, perimenopause. I don't just remember her ever complaining about being hot or having hot flashes or any of that stuff. If she did, she discussed it with the women who were, her peers, her, or maybe her aunts. I don't recall my grandmother talking about anything like that, but so now here we are. We're in 2020. We're in 2026, and we have so much information, and it's a great feeling to have community. It's a great feeling to have people around you where you can share ideas with and get information and knowledge with. The world is big, it's vast, and what you don't know, maybe your fellow sister or brother may know. So for me, it was, okay, what is happening in my life? It was, what is going on around me? What are the crazy things? I am a mother of 4 daughters. Our life is chaotic right now, but not in a sense of hurt or pain. Our life is chaotic because we have I have a daughter graduating. I have another daughter who works. I have another daughter, who is just finishing up her first year in high school cheerleading competition. And they are going through things. They are experiencing things. And every day I pick them up and they get into the car, and they just throw up all over the place and tell me the ins and outs of things and what is happening, what is taking place, and the drama. And then set them aside. I'm a wife and I have a husband who is so awesome and so amazing, and he is everything to me. And so while being a good wife to him, and while being a good mother, and while working, I am just trying to all figure it out. And life, and we have moments in life where you just feel like things are kind of, sometimes things are together and sometimes things are spiraling out of control. But with all in all, I just want people to know you're not alone. And I want this podcast to be a sense of comedic relief. I want it to be a sense of, hey, she's doing it, I can do it too. I just want people to feel loved. And that is truly where I'm at with this. So I grew up with four older brothers. Yes, four older brothers, and a mom and a dad who worked hard. And my brothers, listen, they could be they're that much older than me. When I was born, they were all in the military. They had all left and went. One of my oldest brothers, rest his soul, he passed away several years ago, actually 18 years ago, because my second daughter was born and a few months later he passed. If he were alive right now, he'd be 68. And then I have my second oldest brother, who's in his 60s, my third oldest brother, who's in his 50s, and then the brother above me, we're 8 years apart. But I am the youngest, and I was a true daddy's girl. And I'm my mother and father's only daughter. And you just understand from a very small age, you're not allowed to do anything. I wasn't allowed to do anything because, I constantly had people telling me what to do. And I'm the youngest, so you just kind of go with the flow. But that definitely shaped me and helped build my character and who I am, amongst other things in life that I've gone through. You know, for me, with being the only daughter and the only sister, and the youngest, you are definitely privy to things where you have a you have a the outlook I have on life, or the not the outlook, but the, I guess, from my perspective, I watched everyone do all these things, and I, depending on what it was, I was very mindful of repeating certain behaviors, and I was very, very intentional and clear about what I did want to be and what I didn't want to be from a very young age. Now, from a very young age, I knew I wanted to be a mother, and I'm not even joking. At the age of 3, I knew I wanted to be a mom and a wife, and I said I was going to marry my dad and I was going to have 10 kids. Well, that is illegal everywhere. But I guess if any daddy's girl knows and understands, that is typically, if you're raising daughters, or even if you have sons, a daughter's first love is her father. But I wanted to be a mom. And then once I, figured out I was going to have a husband and it wasn't going to be my dad, I wanted to be a mom. I wanted 10 kids. And God was like, no, we're just going to give you 4 daughters. And that alone, the reassurance that God is a true comedian and has a sense of humor, is he gave me 4 daughters. If that isn't payback for me being so witty, smart alecky, and cheeky to my parents, I don't know what is, because my girls are all of those things. But watching my mom, and obviously that's the first influence over being a wife and a mother. I watched my mom. I grew up with her and watched her go to work every day. She had a strong work ethic, and she cooked. She came home, she served my father, she cooked. My father got up, he went to work every day. Um, and for me, I knew that's what I wanted to be. And I wasn't focused on certain things in high school that other girls were. I was determined to get married and have a baby. Well, I didn't get married. I didn't get married. I had a baby though, but I didn't get married, and that was after high school. Um, but I was a young mom, and that really shaped me and shaped the trajectory of my life. And I love my oldest daughter. Well, I love all my daughters, but my oldest daughter is the first child, obviously, to introduce me to motherhood. And I was very determined to be the best mom that I knew I could be, and do things the way I saw fit for her. And I look back on that time in my life, and I was, I'm just, wow, especially to the young woman she has become. I'm so proud of her. She is everything that I've ever prayed for, and God has blessed me with her, and that and beyond, because she has truly set the tone. She has set the example for her younger sisters, and them following behind her, they have a great role model to look up to. So within all of that and everything that I've experienced from childhood to adulthood, and I've had a few dark moments in my life, but me holding God's hand and resting assured that God is in me and walks with me daily, my life has never been better. I was raised in church. My grandfather was the deacon of the church. My grandmother was the mother of a church. They helped build the church, and God was always there. But it wasn't until I took that and truly applied it in my life at about 35 years old, where it had to become very, very, very prominent in my life. Um, God is amazing, and I forever thank Him and am grateful to the life that I have now, especially to the husband I have now, because the blessing surpassed the prayer. I say that because I was very intentional, second time around getting married. My first marriage, not the best, but it had joyful memories from the perspective of my kids. So when I got divorced and I took a little time out and I had some time to really think about some things, and that is when I regrew my relationship with God. God is never too far away from you. And that is what I needed to do. I had to be so intentional with God, so intentional with my kids and being a mother. And it was a chance to go back and think about all the things that I did that did not serve me and didn't serve my children, and who I wanted to be, and who I wanted to be as a wife, and who I wanted to be as a mom, and what I wanted to show my daughters. And looking at all of those things, and I went back to the drawing board and I sat and I wrote out a few things and I started writing my life. And I would write a letter to myself, present tense. And in that letter, I wrote what I wanted to see day to day. And that is how I started really rebuilding my life, but with God at the forefront of everything. And like I said before, God delivered, and He is forever faithful to me. And I just want people to know that when you are intentional with your time with God, when you're intentional about who you want to be, especially when it is positive, and when you are trying to do the right thing for your family and for yourself, and you believe in God and you believe in the prayer that you've prayed, He will bring it to pass. God will be sure to bring it to pass. I just want to welcome again you all in with a big hug and let you know this is a safe space, and we are going to be talking about everything from marriage to friendships to our relationship with God to motherhood and siblings, and how many siblings do you have and what does that look like for you, and work and recipes and cooking and just everything mixed in between. And we're going to be meeting with friends. We're going to be meeting with relatives and meeting with siblings and meeting with any and everybody who has an impact or who has had an impact on my life. I want them all to share this space because I know those people and what they've done for me. And the goal is to help someone else and to get, stories or ideas out there where if you've been thinking about something or if something's been weighing on your heart, I want this to be a place where we can help heal and we can come together. But most of all, I want to laugh. That is what I do best. Listen, I am the person at the funeral laughing. I shouldn't be, but I am. And please don't ever look at me because I'm going to laugh. And it's not okay, but it is. I am the person at the meeting at work. If you look at me, I'm going to be looking at you and we're all going to be speaking with our eyes because that is what I do. And everything is always funny to me. Even in a non-funny moment and something is super serious, I'm going to find a way to crack a joke because that is just how I tend to I guess cope would be the word. I'm sure there's a trauma related to that somewhere. But yeah, so welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope you enjoy. I hope you enjoyed this, and it was a chance for me to introduce myself, and just taking this one day at a time. We are building here, we are learning, and please, 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 please feel free to leave comments on my social media page. You can find me over at currently, right now, Wife Mom Me. Let me know your thoughts, and I will be happy to read them. And also, if you have any ideas, you have any comments, questions, concerns, I know everybody at this age, we love to call corporate. They ain't no corporate over here, okay? But you can leave a comment. But again, thank you so much for lending your ear and wanting to know me and my community and my world. And we'll talk next time. Bye.